This one is a thought tuner. Use it to find stray thoughts floating around the world. And this psi-enhanced camera is for creating photographic memories.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was a feature. I think that's literally just like a photo mode camera. Wow, so cool. Fuck. Oh my god, that's funny. I have not thought about this meme in a long time. I like whenever I've seen like some companies do like photo contests and stuff like that, which I think is a cute idea. Because a lot of the times they do give you a ton of tools to mess with. I remember watching a video that briefly mentioned how many games have photo modes. He questioned like how many people actually use them and why. I wonder if they're easy to make. Yeah, no, they've got to be. Because it's literally just moving the camera around and screenshotting. And then any features beyond that are just kind of like whatever you feel like messing around with. If I were to guess, personally, I assume it's basically just a way for the hardcore fans to have fun. I was gonna say marketing, but not even really marketing. It's not like those screenshots probably go too far outside of like the community of fans. I'm sure actual photographers just kind of have fun playing around with it. Like if photography is an art form you appreciate, it's probably fun to mess around with a mode that just has a bunch of options and makes it easy. I'm sure there's some like memory saving in there somewhere too. Like there's probably some people that like using them as like almost a journal, which sounds actually kind of like a cute idea that I've never considered before until I just said it out loud. Like if I were to make sure, like I guess if I got the photo mode sooner, I'm surprised they lock it off for so long. You know, every time I like meet a new area or like see something that I'm like, whoa, this is neat, that I go out of my way to like take a quick picture of it or something. I could see that being a thing. Some people might even use them for like drawing references and stuff. I've definitely heard of people doing that with like fighting games, because they have a lot of good poses to them and a lot of like notable characters and stuff like that. Where like if you wanted to draw that weird ass, let's see. Ooh. Like if you wanted to draw this weird ass pose, but you wanted like a really specific angle on it, like boom, you've got your reference to at least like do something with, and that's kind of neat. Alright, I have an obligatory thing that I have to do now that I know that that pose is a thing.
You look just like my nephew. Jerk. Hi, kid.
That's kind of creepy, kid.
There we go. Perfect. What? Wait, did it do the effect or just the sound? Did I fuck up? There we go. If I knew how to refund points, I would. I know that there's a way to, but I actually forget how. Anyway, welcome on in. It's okay, I have quite a few points. Yeah, my point economy is a little out of whack. I don't exactly have a ton to spend them on. That's one of those stream things that I'm like, I want to put more thought into things to, like, both, I don't know, there's a lot of random things like that where, like, I want more redeems that people will use. But also, I'm, like, so picky about it that I haven't really had anything new in a while. People sure do like that one, though. I love petting furries online, yeah! It's like one of the best things about being a furry. Oh yeah, one thing I think is clever when it comes to like channel points is I've seen some channels do extremely large like reward point things for like a fun like dedicated like something to do for somebody that's obviously like super dedicated to the streams. Like I know Kelif will do like a it's an absurd amount of points, like 100k or something like that, but it'll be like, he mails you a letter that he like writes himself, which is just like a super neat idea. And then on the flip side of things, I've seen people do that with like meme submissions, where it'll just be like, Yeah, like something similar, like 100K, move into my house, which like is obviously nothing. But kind of fills the same void of like, it's like a moment when somebody actually manages to redeem it. I've seen some things akin to dedicating one entire stream to a viewer. Some streamers do that yearly for their mods. They play a game of their mods requests. That's wicked cool. Yeah, I try to at least keep like a bit of a running list of like games people mention that I might like, or that like might kind of be on my radar anyway, but I'll be like, hey, I remembered you said you wanted to watch this game. But the idea of making it a reward is actually a pretty cool idea. Especially as like a big thing, because then it's like, holy shit, you've been here for a while. Unless you're just a lurker that's lurked for that long, we're probably like practically some level of friends at that point anyway. And it sounds fun to, you know, dedicate a stream to something like that. Especially because at that point, the channel points are pretty much a formality. Like, that might have been something that was like on my radar anyway, but then if they were like, haha, but I did the points, like it kind of turns it into a fun thing. I like that. You're friends with Poppin'? Yeah. I met him outside of anything streaming related, and he actually like, because this was like a few years back, he like, whoa! Oh, we're good. He, at first kind of hit his power level when it came to streaming. Like, he didn't mention that it was something that he did all that much. And I want to say it was actually just a huge coincidence that around the same time I started streaming myself. Because I was almost entirely doing it just because I was having fun, like, streaming to my friends in Discord, and was like, or I could do it on Twitch, and maybe more... You know, I could invite people outside of this immediate group chat to hang out if they wanted to, or maybe even some random people will swing by. That could be fun. And having coincidentally met Poppin' around the same time, he was able to almost immediately shoot me up to affiliate just through both being a friend of his, him doing like shoutouts for me, and then I don't know if it was one of his first subathons, but it was like a subathon that he did pretty early on where he like invited me onto it and everything. So he ended up being a pretty pivotal part in the start of all this. And then, you know, well, it's not like we hang out all the time or anything. We still talk like pretty regularly on and off to this day. It was also, unsurprisingly, around the same time when I met Kelif, which was also kind of like a... didn't know his power level at first when it came to streaming, where it was just kind of like Poppin' invited me to, I want to say it was New Year's, I think New Year's 2023. It was like a VR meetup for that, and
You're not a child.
as that being my first ever meetup,
Well, this
and Kelif being Kelif was one of the first people to just walk up to me and be like, hi, new person that's not talking to anybody. How are you? I would like to meet you. Kelif is so Kelif in that way, exactly. No, and I don't know, yeah. But between the two of them, it was very much kind of like the start of me getting into like all of the general streamers, excuse me, streamer circles around all of those people, yourself included, basically. One person leads to another person, leads to eventually Lemon. I am kind of glad I got the experience that way, though, where, like, I didn't know who he was, like, at all. So there wasn't this weird, like, mentality of, like, oh, this is a big, somewhat, you know, popular person on the internet that I have to... I don't know. I guess more so at the time. Obviously, nowadays, that's something that doesn't affect me, like, at all. But at the time, it probably would have made me feel some type of way. It at least would have affected how I talked. Yeah, oh no, he's famous. Act cool, Derek. I think at the time, I just would have felt more self-conscious about it, but I think it was probably... Oh my god, just scared. It was probably good that, like... I kind of got hit immediately with the experience of just like, nah, I mean, everyone's just people. Like, I intuitively, obviously felt that way already. It can be intimidating regardless until you really, like... I'm trying to think of the best way to word it. I guess when I say that, it's not that I don't, like, wouldn't see somebody like that as a person, but, like, they were like a... bigger person that's worth acting a specific way around. When that's like totally not the case. Like, I don't know. People are just people, especially like in internet spaces where like, you know, being popular online is like a really weird thing. If anything, it's part of the reason that I was glad that I got into doing this stuff in general, because I think there is like a part of me that kind of just felt that way about like the internet as a whole, where I just wasn't a particularly vocal or active person on the internet, and it was all kind of like big and intimidating. And then I got to meet some, you know, alright, I got myself in there a little bit, met some real people, and was like, oh no, this is just like fun. We're all just cool little animals on the internet hanging out with each other. Maybe I have a bit to learn from you in that regard. Your meetups have never been comforting for me. I guess this is the part where I go inside your brain and then I platform through the VR meetup level. No. No, I totally get that though. And I mean, I'm far from perfect when it comes to those kind of things. I'm definitely part of the, like, I am the type of person that doesn't usually really go up to people unless I just kind of like hover around circles. And I think something that I've just came to accept with those kind of meetups is like, obviously, you know people that are going to them, great. It's cool to be able to like touch base with the people that you know. And you know, I mean, especially with a meetup, you kind of have to at least know one person going, because they tend to be like, you know, you see your friend, somebody on your friends list is in that meetup, you know, friends plus. Don't go to anything public. If I hear that that's not a great time, but at least like the friends plus, where it's all, you know, people who know people who know people. It's usually all pretty trustworthy. And I've found that if there's not like a ton of people I know that are there for the night, or the people that I do know are floating around a lot, I've found enjoyment in just kind of like hovering around conversations and listening, because I just kind of like listening to people in general. So I just kind of take it one step at a time. As like, yep, there's some nights where, because I am at least that introverted, because I'm generally a more introverted person, if I spend my nights just kind of hovering around people more than anything, that's fine. It's still kind of a good time to do that, so no real regrets or anything. And if I end up finding myself more motivated to butt into a conversation, or, you know, somebody pulls me in, because that's obviously its own thing that can happen, is, you know, they see you standing there and they're just like, hey, what's your opinion on this thing? And then you get the chance to say something. So yeah, I don't know. That's my... I'm not a very social person myself. Social advice for that kind of thing is to enjoy it for the vibes, if you're that kind of person. But obviously it's totally fair if that isn't something that appeals to you. But I think that's a lot of the reason I've survived at those things more than maybe I expected to. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point, but hopefully you get where what I mean and kind of the general advice that I'm trying to give. And then obviously having more friends there helps too, because yes, I don't think we have added each other. Oh yeah, do you play this Shepherd? I know that you melee at least a bit. Tried it and I do like it, but I refunded it due to the lack of characters and content. That's definitely valid. I'm the type of person anyway that, like, while I actually am pretty interested in the single player content in this game from what I've heard about it, I'm not usually one to think about that too hard when it comes to fighting games. Like, I personally don't remember the last time I bought any fighting game and even touched the single player content. I'm usually just in for the competitive side of things. I guess the Exard story mode, but I haven't even touched the Strive story mode yet, so that just goes to show you with that. Lack of characters I get, but also I found a character I liked right away, so I guess that also didn't bug me, but... and I know that in due time both will get fleshed out a decent amount. I don't know how soon, but I know that there's supposed to be, at the very least, the big single-player update on the horizon. That actually sounds really cool. They're essentially doing the thing that's everybody's wanted for a long time now, which is making a, not literally subspace emissary, but something with the same kind of scope of, this is more about platforming than necessarily just fighting. As somebody that likes playing as the characters but has no interest in facing computer-controlled characters usually, the idea of a platformer mode is way more interesting to me. I kind of respected when, I don't know if Strive is the same way, but I know Guilty Gear Xrd, the story mode is basically just like if an anime just had a like half anime, half visual novel, in the sense that it's still like minimal 3D animation, but is mostly just like text boxes and voice acting. Because they tried the thing with BlazBlue and earlier Guilty Gear games where it was like mostly a bunch of text, and then occasionally you'd get into a fight that felt like it was there just as a formality. And then in Xrd they were like, fuck it, no formality. I think the only time that I have seen a fighting game story mode that like felt like it tried to do something, or you know, it was fighting game story mode moment where I was like, this fight isn't just a formality, they actually did something kind of cool with it, which is there's like a moment in BlazBlue where a character, like without getting into the BlazBlue story in depth, the weapons are essentially like kinda sorta alive in a weird way. And there's a moment where like one character is injured and their weapon isn't listening to them, like they're in just like a super weakened state. So you have to do a battle where you're missing a ton of your moves. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea. Just this cool moment of like, oh, they didn't just throw this fight in for no reason. There's actually like a cool story mode reason for this. But the other like 95% of the time when there was a BlazBlue story moment, it was the complete opposite, where it was like super forced fights where you're like, why are these two characters fighting? Because they accidentally bumped shoulders with each other and they're really mad about it. Alright, so this desert is like one of the funniest one of the funniest designed things I've ever seen in a video game before. Where most desert levels will have some kind of gimmick to them, as far as like maybe something to kind of make it feel like, you know, you're getting lost in the desert. Like they'll do kind of like a Lost Woods thing where you have to take a really specific path or you get lost in the sandstorm. Or maybe they're just a bit more designed in general, so it's not like actually a wide open desert, it's kind of like a simplified version that just has the desert vibes. Nope, not here. This is like 5 to 10 minutes of me walking in a straight line of this. And I slowly take damage because of the heat. And it's ominous and scary and dark and muted and... I don't know why, but I love it. I don't think I have ever seen another game ballsy enough to just be like, oh, you want a desert level? Well, what if it's just desert? And deserts aren't exciting. Sorry to break it to you. Oh, but you can find the occasional oasis. You know what the most fucked up part is? Is that there is at least one oasis. Because there's just like a bunch of oasi, just like scattered throughout the desert. And one of them has a spell that you can't find anywhere else. Yep, we're still going. I just realized that there is one other game that's been ballsy enough to... Oh, there we go. That's been ballsy enough to do the full desert, and that is Desert Bus. Told this story earlier, but obviously there's way more people who are specifically interested in this game here now. I guess just like my history with the game. Mostly just... I lucked out a couple times growing up when it came to, like, getting video games as hand-me-down gifts. And this was probably one of the biggest ones, where it was my brother's friend of all people. I think was just, you know, at the time probably, like, becoming a teenager, growing out of video games, and for my birthday one year, just straight up gave me his SNES, Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, Toy Story, and I think Aladdin. No, wait, no. Aladdin I had for Genesis. There's probably at least, like, 1 or 2 other games in there that I'm forgetting. But it's mostly just funny to think back on. I don't know, getting a gift from somebody so, like, secondary in my life. Like, it's not like I didn't, like, see him around a lot and he wasn't cool, but that's a pretty huge gift. You can jump back over. Or is this just leads outside? Oh, did I just make a mistake? I think I made a mistake. Is there a way out of this? Because now I'm, like, super trapped in here, aren't I? You mentioned that... Oh. Oh, hey guy, hey! How's it going? And now this guy's trapped. I'm just gonna go ahead and quick save here. If you don't mind.